Islam Makhachev was defending the belt. Turns out he's still the champion, but he's also the greatest lightweight fighter that the UFC has ever seen.
I have fight, still fighting. That's it. No, it doesn't matter who is gonna be, but I'm gonna fight. Long camp, I prefer for anyone. You know, this camp we training so hard, and someone was lucky because he's not here. Nice job.
Islam Makhachev delivers a stunning first-round victory over Renato Moicano, leaving the MMA world in awe. Charles Oliveira, who faced Islam Makhachev in the past, reacted to Makhachev's dominant performance against Renato Moicano. Oliveira expressed confidence that Makhachev would eventually become the UFC lightweight champion, though he cautioned that Makhachev should stay ready for what comes next.
Foi uma grande luta, né? Ele é o campeão, tinha que fazer isso mesmo. Mas eu sou o próximo, ele sabe disso. O campeão dos pesos leves chama Charles Oliveira. Eu tô pronto pra isso.
Similarly, Thiago Moises shared his belief that Moicano could have presented a tough challenge to Makhachev. Moises praised Moicano's grappling skills and technique, stating that anyone who trained with Moicano knew his potential. He felt Moicano's grappling could have matched Makhachev's, making for an exciting and competitive bout.
I think Moicano would give him like a very tough fight also.
The reaction to UFC 311 was widely positive. Michael Bisping called it an incredible event, highlighting Islam Makhachev's successful title defense. He noted that not only did Makhachev retain his championship, but he also solidified his status as one of the greatest lightweight fighters in UFC history.
What an event. The main card was fantastic, and I'm going to take you through all the main card fights. Now, first of all, Islam Makhachev was defending the belt. Turns out he's still the champion, but he's also the greatest lightweight fighter that the UFC has ever seen.
Gilbert Burns also expressed his support for Moicano, saying he was happy Moicano got the chance to fight at such short notice. When asked about Moicano's chances, Burns believed Moicano had a crazy chance to win.
On the same way, I'm very happy for Moicano to step in and get this fight that he was ready for. And my third question, when I answer that third question, that's a crazy question. Do you think Moicano has a chance? I do believe he has a chance. I do believe he has a crazy chance.
Dana White praised Makhachev for stepping in on short notice after Arman Sarukian's injury. White added, "For the champ, I told you. I said it publicly. He said, 'Brother, I am the champion. I'm going to bed. Whoever I'm fighting tomorrow, I don't care. I'll wake up and I'll fight anybody.'" White said, "He came out and did what you're supposed to do in that position and actually did it like a stud." At the UFC 311 post-fight press conference, White conceded. He's already the pound-for-pound #1 ranking. Yeah, I'll give it to him. Is everybody happy now that he's pound for pound? He also added, 100%, there's no doubt about it. He's the pound for pound best in the world right now, and he's definitely the best to ever do it in that division. Makhachev also shared his thoughts on not needing months of preparation to defend his lightweight title. He claimed that the short fight, which ended in the first round, demonstrated that he could have done it with just a month of training.
Now you know, Dana, now you know. Honestly, I'm very happy because now nobody can say something. I feel like #1 best fighter in the world right now.
Islam Makhachev, while preparing for the fight, was also dealing with the emotional setback of his friend Umar Nurmagomedov's loss to Merab Dvalishvili. Makhachev admitted it was difficult to focus fully on his own fight, as his emotions were affected by his friend's defeat. Despite this, Makhachev managed to channel his focus into his own preparation for the title defense.
They have close fight. You know, Umar not take some damage. He landed good shots, but it's okay. He broke his arm also. 100%, I think he will come back because he's young, still hungry, and he's gonna be UFC champion one day, inshallah.
Dana White, reflecting on Sarukian's injury, noted that it cost the fighter his chance at the title shot. White pointed out that with so many changes happening in the UFC, Sarukian would now have to fight more opponents to prove he deserved another shot at the top. This commentary underscored the dynamic nature of the sport and how quickly opportunities can slip away.
Sarukians, I mean, there's going to be a lot of changes going on here, and you have to take these opportunities when you have them. He didn't, and you know, we'll see how this plays out over the next year.
Do you think he goes for does he take another fight, or does he go straight to another title shot?
No, he'll take another fight.
Dana White announced a major change to the UFC 311 pay-per-view card just hours before the official weigh-in on Friday. White and the matchmakers got word that Arman Sarukian has an ailing back and that he wouldn't be able to compete this weekend against Islam Makhachev.
From Arman Sarukian, who informed us that he was experiencing significant back pain due to the injury. He feels like he is not healthy enough to compete, so he is out of the fight. Stepping in to face Islam Makhachev for the title will be Renato Moicano. Moicano's been on a tear since moving up to 155 pounds and currently holds the longest active win streak amongst all fighters in the top 10 of the lightweight division.
Dana said Moicano had weighed in at championship weight, ready as a backup fighter. Moicano was excited and wanted to fight. Dana also talked to Islam Makhachev, who had said he was the champ and was ready to fight anyone.
The guy is an absolute savage, and every fight he's in is a war. He weighed in on championship weight to be prepared as the backup in case something happened. And when we spoke to him this morning, I can tell you he wants this fight. And when I called Islam, Islam said, brother, I am the champion. I don't care who it is. I will fight anyone.
Javier Mendez, who had worked with Moicano, emphasized that despite being the underdog, Moicano was a world-class fighter. He cautioned against underestimating Moicano, believing that his motivation and readiness made him a dangerous opponent. This sentiment highlighted the unpredictable nature of MMA and how anyone can make a run at the title if they are prepared.
Well, we have to respect Moicano because he's a world-class competitor, and he, him taking the fight, it just means he's hungry. So you got it.
That's up to him.
Yeah, he's very dangerous. All these guys are very dangerous. You can't just take it like
he is dangerous.
Some critics speculated about the UFC's reaction to Sarukian's injury, fearing the promotion might not be understanding and that it could hurt his future career prospect. There was concern that this setback could delay his climb up the rankings or hurt his chances of getting another title shot anytime soon.
I can't imagine Dana and the lads are going to take too kindly to this. As soon as I hear injury this late, I'm thinking he's in a bad cutting weight and unfortunately slipped or something like that. I have no idea. It's pure speculation on my part.
Ben Flokes also weighed in on the change, highlighting that at 35 years old, Moicano's window to win a title was rapidly closing. He pointed out that fighters in their mid-30s, especially in lighter divisions, don't often succeed in title fights. Flokes stressed that Moicano was in great shape and had already been preparing for the fight, making it crucial for him to seize the opportunity while it was still available.
He's 35. He's a 35-year-old lightweight. What are you waiting for at this point? Like, what are you saving it for? If you don't think you can go out there and win the title now, it's not like
until he's 36, Ben.
I mean, we've seen the numbers in UFC title fights, 170 and below. You get up there in age, you get to your mid-30s and beyond, and the success rate isn't that high. So you might as well take your shot now. Yeah. It's not like you weren't preparing for a lightweight fight on this date. It's going to be a different kind of matchup.
Luke Thomas talked about Renato Moicano's growth as a fighter. Luke pointed out Moicano's tough losses to fighters like RDA, Brian Ortega, and Aldo, and how he had adjusted since then. He also noted how Moicano had worked on his grappling and top control, and how moving from 145 to 155 pounds had helped with his weight management.
He looked good. He looked good all 2024. He had 3 good wins. He had the 1 grappling win. So many different parts of his game. Really leaned into his strengths, which to me were top game, grappling, passing, really almost kind of like old school jiu-jitsu fighter to a degree, with modern best practices, but kind of old school in that way. And it has worked out for him. He kept himself ready.
Luke discussed how Islam Makhachev had evolved from a fighter focused mainly on wrestling to one who was more well-rounded. He pointed out that Makhachev's striking and overall game had improved, making him a more complete threat in MMA.
I tend to think what's going to happen is Moicano will give up the takedown and or the back, and you're going to see, I mean, just think about it. Like, if you're working from someone's back and you're good at it the way that Makhachev is, with pinning, wrapping the hands, the wrist rides, and the ground and pound with the sub threats, I just feel like that's the way he's going to go. I know in some of these fights, like the Brian Ortega fight, he ultimately may have been submitted, but he got rocked on the feet first. Like, there's some of that to be watched, to be wary of. I tend to think that plays a role.
Luke added, "You can't just show up and think you can win against Makhachev without a full camp. Makhachev is the most well-rounded fighter in the division. Moicano's gonna have to make something happen early to have a chance. It's a tough fight for Moicano. The odds are against him, but he has skills." Javier talked about Moicano's style, saying he was a striker who also used Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. He liked to mix things up and be unpredictable. This versatility made him a dangerous opponent in the cage.
He beat Benoit Saint Denis, that really aggressive French guy that everyone was worried about coming.
The one that gets tired.
Right. He beat him with
the one that gets tired.
Yeah, he gets tired because supposedly staff, but his other fights he looked more active. I don't know. Maybe he get tired in this fight too. I got to rewatch it, but he knocked him out in the 2nd round.
Wow.
So he went decision with Drew Dober, 3 rounds. He submitted Brad Riddell, and let's see. It says unanimous decision loss.
Javier went on to mention that the opponent didn't matter because they could easily adapt to anyone who stepped in. He was ready for whoever would show up. Despite this, he felt bad for Arman, who had been training hard but was out of the fight. However, they remained prepared for anyone. He then asked if UFC had officially announced Moicano as the replacement and checked for confirmation, showing his focus on staying updated.
You don't tell me who the opponent is, you know. We can change him. I've said it many a times. It's easy to change him. So he's ready for whoever. I feel bad for Arman because he's training so hard and, you know, he's out, you know, but as far as who we're ready for whoever's going to step in. That's it.
In another conversation, John Anik discussed whether Renato Moicano's potential win would be the biggest upset in UFC history. He didn't think so, referencing previous upsets like Shana Dobson and Roxanne Modafferi. John acknowledged that while Moicano was considered an underdog, the betting odds might be skewed too wide, considering Moicano was in great shape and capable of pulling off an upset, even if it wasn't the biggest in UFC history. John then brought up an interesting point about the fight dynamic, saying perhaps there would have been some pause because Paja Marcos Damata, the chief corner for Arman Tsarukyan, is also the chief cornerman for Renato Moicano. This camp knows you exceedingly well. There's not as much upside in winning this fight for Islam as there would have been to really get some style points in a second win over Arman. Islam's the man, you know, and that's why he took the fight. Coach Marcos Parumpa Damata also weighed in, mentioning that Moicano was already close to making the required weight of 156 pounds in the morning. This gave confidence to the team, knowing Moicano was physically prepared.
So around 5:30 in the morning, I told Moicano, listen, Arman won't fight. You're gonna be fighting Islam for the belt. And he was crying, like ecstatic. He was so happy.
Marcos emphasized Moicano's dedication and easy approach to the weight cut, further explaining that Moicano was not only confident, but also ready to fight for the championship. He showcased his readiness and positive attitude toward the upcoming challenge, which highlighted his mental and physical commitment.
He was so pumped, and it was easy to make. He was already real close to 156 in the morning. So he had to just go back to the bathtub and just do a half hour more, and it was easy.
Ariel Helwani provided additional context on Tsarukyan's injury, explaining that despite being in good shape earlier in the week, Tsarukyan experienced worsening back pain. After being assessed by UFC medical staff, it became clear that Tsarukyan was unfit to fight, forcing the UFC to call off the match. This last-minute change set the stage for Moicano to step in as the replacement.
8 or so pounds over, was en route to making weight, and then injured his back while making weight. Was in a lot of pain. UFC medical staff went to check him out. He was not in good shape, couldn't move, I'm told. Was not in a good spot to fight. They agreed to obviously wait it out, see what would happen.
Despite the late notice, Moicano was eager to take on the challenge. Helwani noted that Moicano had been training for a fight and was an ideal replacement, given his winning streak and previous experience stepping in on short notice. This made him a strong candidate to challenge Makhachev for the lightweight title, and Moicano was excited for the opportunity to fight for the belt just hours before the event.
Late last night, a couple hours after they went to check him out, calls started to go to Moicano's team about stepping in on short notice, weighing in at 155. Worth noting that one of Moicano's head coaches, Pahumpa of ATT fame, is also a coach of Arman Tsarukyan, so he was obviously aware. Not suggesting that that's a bad thing, but just that Moicano knew you got to make 155. You may be fighting for the belt. Moicano was the right choice.
Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed the video, don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit the bell icon for more content. Drop your thoughts in the comments below.